Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we are from Group 5 and we will discuss evaluation and testing in ESP presented by Husnulatin Ogifer Lydia, Mufidatun Nadiro, and Umi Mafiro. Okay, in this chapter we will discuss about the first evaluation and testing, meaning, effects, and purpose. The second, types and function of evaluation and testing. Okay, I am going to Unit 1, Evaluation and Testing, Meaning, Effects, and Purpose. Definition of testing, evaluation assessment. Evaluation is a process which begins with determining what information to gather and begins with bringing about change in current activities or future ones. According to Dudley, Evans and St. John, 1998. It applies to both earths and cars. It makes use of quantitative method for the example test and qualitative methods for the example interview and questionnaire. Language testing is a complex activity testing the teaching's ingenuity. It is the duty of the teacher to know the appropriate test material for different language skills. In testing, the teacher should not rely on only the questions set by the textbook writers. You need to draw up your own question and it must be well framed. You should utilize different questioning techniques and make your instruction as clear and ambiguous as possible. And the next slide is purpose of testing. Information about people's language ability is often very useful and sometimes necessary. The type of that determines why it is needed. Proficiency tests, placement tests, and etc. In the teaching system test measures the student achievement in the second or foreign language. And according to Hatch 1989, P7 identifies the following as the different purpose of testing. Number 1, to measure language proficiency regardless of any language course that candidates may have followed. To discover how far students have achieved the objective of a course of study. To diagnose students' strength and weakness, to identify what they have learned and what they have not learned. And the last, to assist placement of students by identifying the stage or part of a teaching program most appropriate to their ability. It could be summarized that tests and testing are of great benefits to the child or learner, the teacher, and to educational practice. And the next, benefits to the learner. It is a source of help and encouragement in his or her work, which may help him or her to progress in his or her work or learning. The child sees at a glance where or he stands and decides on his own the amount of effort to put in future. And the last, benefits to teacher. Testing is the best way of ensuring maximum effectiveness in the teaching program. A teacher will be able to adapt the teaching process to the needs of the students. The teacher does this by writing down all the errors the students can possibly make and teaching against each time the error is committed.
And the next, I would like to explain about communicative language testing. Alderson and Nahas 1981 accept that to follow the communicative paradigm, one needs to define what is that students have to do with language in a specific situation or series of situations, and recognize that by specifying performance in this manner, one might end up describing an impossible variety of situations which one cannot encompass for testing purpose. Authenticity in language testing. There are two approaches on authenticity. The first is the real-life approach and the second is the interactional ability approach. The conclusion: evaluation or testing is a wrap up of teach learn activity. The benefit cannot be overemphasized. Evaluation of the learners reflect not just the learner's performance, but to some extent the effectiveness or otherwise of the course too. A successful ESP course is the one that has enabled particular learners to do particular things with language. Where this is not so, it is an indication of the fact that something is wrong with the course design or that the objectives are ambiguous. We are going to Unit 2, Types and Function of Evaluation and Testing. There are two types in evaluation. The first is formative evaluation and the second is summative evaluation. Formative evaluation. Formative evaluation is typically conducted during the development or improvement of a program or product. And the purpose of formative evaluation is to validate or ensure that the goals of the instruction are being achieved and to improve the instruction, if necessary, by means of identification and subsequent remediation of problematic aspects. Some of the instructional strategies that can be used formatively include the following: the first, criteria and goal setting; observation; questioning strategies; self and peer assessment; and the last, student record keeping. And then about summative evaluation. Summative evaluation is popularly called assessment, grading, marking, or testing. And summative evaluation provides information on the product's efficacy, its ability to do what it was designed to do.
Okay guys, now we will study about summative evaluation. Summative evaluation is popularly called assessment, grading, marking, or testing. Summative evaluation provides information on the product's efficacy, its ability to do what it was designed to do. So, the definition of summative assessment is any method of evaluation performed at the end of a unit that allows a teacher to measure students' understanding, typically against standardized criteria. The purpose of summative assessment is to gauge students' comprehension of the material presented at the end of a particular unit of work, and is often measured with a grade or percentage depending on the subject. Okay, next about process evaluation. Process evaluation addresses how a project was conducted in terms of consistency with the state plan of action and the effectiveness of various activities within the plan. Process evaluation is important to the program. Why is process evaluation important? The first, to determine the extent to which the program is being implementing according to plan. The second, to assess and document the degree of fidelity and variability in program implementation, expected or unexpected, planned or unplanned. The third, to compare multiple sites with respect to fidelity, and then to provide validity for the relationship between the invention and the outcomes, to provide information on what components of the intervention are responsible for outcomes, to understand the relationship between program context and program processes, to provide managers feedback on the quality of implementation, to refine delivery components, to provide program accountability to sponsors, the public, clients, and funders, and the last, to improve the quality of the program as the act of evaluating is an intervention. Next, about product and function of evaluation. Product evaluation is the evaluation of the outcome of the program to decide to accept, amend, or terminate the program using criteria directly related to the goals and objectives. Evaluation can perform two functions, assessment and feedback. The two can provide important input to the content and methods for future work. Summative assessment aims to evaluate what students know, can do, and can articulate at a given point in time. This evaluation is reported verbally or in writing to others. Summative assessment is more reliable and valid when evidence of learning is collected from multiple sources over time and when the evidence is examined in light of quality expectation or assessment indicators. Summative assessment at the classroom level is based on evidence collected both during the learning by students and teachers as well as evidence collected at the end of learning. Learner assessment. Learner assessment. This is the assessment of students' performance at strategic point in the course. Learner assessment is made up of the following. First, placement test, and the second is achievement test. In the achievement test, there are three parts. The first final achievement test, progress achievement test, and the last proficiency test. The first about placement test. These are tests given to learners at the beginning of a new course. This is to determine what the learners know in the second language. The teacher uses the result to place them into stable classes or groups. Placement tests are constructed for particular situation. No one placement test will work for every institution. The second about achievement tests. Achievement tests are directly related to language course. They are given to learners at the end of the course to determine how successful individual students, group of students, or the courses themselves have been able to achieve the objective. Final achievement tests are final achievement test. The test is based on detailed course syllabus or on books and material used during the course of study. The advantage is that students are tested on what they have studied. Success in the exam indicates successful achievement of the course objectives. And then progress assessment test measure the progress the students are making. It is given during a course to see how far their language ability has developed. It enables the teacher to assess himself to see how far he is achieving his objectives, what needs to be retouched, and what to do next. And the last about proficiency test. Proficiency test is are designed to measure people's ability in a language regardless of training they may have had in the language. Course evaluation. In course evaluation, we need to involve all those who share the learning process in making the ESP course as satisfying to the parties as possible. Access on and waters 1992, page 150. Page 156. In course evaluation, factors such as materials, classroom activities, out-of-class support, course design, methodology, and assessment should be evaluated. In assessing a course, question as to what, how, who, when, and how often of your evaluation should be asked. In question as to what, exam- the example of question as to what should be evaluated. This involves the teacher ability to collect information and use them ability to satisfy the learner's needs as language learner and language use. And how can it be evaluated? It could be through test questionnaires, discussion, interview, comment, and others. Who should evaluate it? An ESP teacher, learners, sponsor, or course designers. It depends on who mounted the course and why it was mounted. And the last, when and how often it could be done. This should not be too often because it is time. Difference between a summative evaluation and learner's assessment. Learner assessment generally looks at how an individual learner performed on a learning test. Summative evaluation, on the other hand, looks at more than one learner's performance to see how well a group did on a learning task that utilized specific learning materials and methods. Advantage of evaluation and testing. The first evaluation is the process of examining a program or process to determine what's working, what's not, and why. The second evaluation is the source of information and experience. From information obtained, the teacher assesses himself, the students, and the material. The last, testing, is a tool for needs analysis. Humera OKK 2005, page 80. And the last conclusion, a final consideration in ESP concerns the role of formative and summative evaluation in developing the program. Systematic formative and summative tests of the students' achievements on the part and the whole of the EFL or ESL programs. ESP and GE components help not only in making decisions concerning the continue and or discontinuation of the program and the placement of students, but they can also indicate weakness in specific components of the program as a whole and therefore provide information for making decisions about revising the program itself. The K and Palmer 80, 1009, 1090 and 81. Okay, thank you for your attention. If there are any question, please ask. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.